Just a reminder to everyone who's on this meeting is being recorded, and it will be posted on the Town of Lyme YouTube channel at some point in the near future after we conclude. Okay, I've got, just to run through, I've got Karen Winters, Tom Ortoliva, Harold Thompson, John Coughlin, Peter Cable, and Jen Miller from the committee with us. Did I miss anyone who's with us? Okay. So moving through the agenda, we're going to start out with a bit of housekeeping. I sent out the unapproved minutes for the August 17th and August 31st meeting. I'll start with the August 17th regular meeting and ask if there are any changes to that or additions from anyone on the committee.
The only question I have for you, Michael, is on the meeting minutes from the 31st. Did you send out the Board of Selectmen summary yet?
Yes, I did.
Did you copy in the committee?
Yes, I did.
All right, I might have missed it. Okay.
That was sent out, I think, on September 15th. Tom, I'll after this meeting, I'll find it and I'll send it to you directly. Okay, any other questions or updates on the minutes from the August 17th regular meeting? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Tom. Second?
I'll second that motion. Harold.
Very good. I'll do a quick poll. Karen, on approval? See if Karen's still there. Karen, I see you muted. Okay, try again, Karen. Karen, I'm not able to hear you if you're speaking. Could you message me with your vote, please? Okay, Tom?
Approve.
Thank you. Harold?
Approve.
John Coughlin? John, I'm not hearing you. I'm going to have to try and find you among the callers. Hang on one sec. John, could you try again?
Approved.
Very good. Found you. Okay, pending Karen's vote. Regardless, it will pass. So I'll record Karen's vote when we're able to connect with her and move on to the special meeting of August 31st. Any additions, corrections?
No changes.
I concur.
Okay, then hearing none. Thank you. Again, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Who's that?
John Coughlin.
Thank you, John. Second?
Tom or leave a second.
Tom? Okay, Karen, are you back on?
I'm back. I'm here. I'm sorry.
Great, thank you. Karen, did you approve the August 17th minutes as well?
Yes.
Very good. Okay. Tom? August 31st.
Approved.
Great. Harold?
Yes.
Thank you, Harold. John Coughlin?
I approve.
Thank you, John. Okay. Moving on. Correspondence, I only have a little bit to report on that, which is I've received through the Selectman's office 3 inquiries about joining or helping with the committee, which I was very happy to receive. And I've responded to all 3 of those inquiries with the news that our membership at this point is full and there are no vacancies. However, I did invite all of the folks who inquired about it to join our meetings and pointed them at the calendar and the connection information. And one of them had already submitted a volunteer application, but I let the other ones know that if they wanted to submit a volunteer application to the Board of Selectmen, that should any openings occur in the future, that they would be considered for it. So that was very nice to hear. Other than that, I'm not aware of any correspondence, any from anyone else on the committee?
No.
No.
Okay. Moving on then to agenda item number 4, workstream updates. Let me just do another quick check. John Zaccaro, are you with us? Okay, I guess not. So let's start with Tom then. Tom and Karen, results on the external scan. I hope everyone received the notes that Tom prepared for this. So start with you, Tom. You have the floor.
Okay. The task of our committee was to try to find out what some of the other area towns are doing in regards to affordable housing. Whether they have formal committees and what success they've had with affordable housing. I called many of the towns I was able to talk to, first select people or town planners, or if they had a committee, an affordable housing committee. And the document I forwarded prior to this call contains most of my notes on that. You want me to go through each one of them and just summarize for each town?
I think that would be good, Tom. I thought that was really interesting.
All right, so starting off the top, I had Town of Old Saybrook. They don't have a formal committee, but what I was told, I had a conversation with Carl Fortuna, who's the first select person, been there for a number of years. He says the process is really commission driven, and they encourage the local builders when they're looking to put a development in or some sort of building, they're encouraging them to consider including affordable housing. He uses an example recently on Lynn Street. They had a local builder was coming in. They encouraged them to add affordable housing, which this development of this area was going to have a restaurant, professional building, and then they were going to have some apartments to go with it. Old Saybrook's other notable is that they had the first incentive housing zone in the state of Connecticut that they actually built it, and that was the ferry crossings buildings that were built by Hope Partnership. That was 16 units. You can see them right off of Route 9 when you're coming south on Route 9. They had 1 to 3 bedrooms, 80, 60, and less than 50% area median income are the limits they have on those units. Not really a lot of opposition to this building when it went in. It was pretty much all affirmative. Nobody really objected to it, probably because the town was prepped for it ahead of time. The other one that everybody's really familiar with is Posted, Maine, or otherwise known as the apartments by the railroad station. Those were done, that was also an incentive housing zone for the town of Old Saybrook. They did use 830G, and they put in the minimum number of affordable housing units to get the density that they wanted in that space. Interestingly, Carl Fortuna said that for years, some big box stores were trying to build there. And so their goal was to try to encourage not to have a big box store, but to maybe have housing in there. Of the 187 units that went in, this I think was probably the most eye-opening for most people, is there was only an impact of 10 new children in the school system. So when you think about the sheer number of units over there, 187, I was taken aback by that. But their opinion is it wasn't enough new students. And he attributes a lot of that to the fact that some of the students coming in already live in town. So if they moved over there, they already lived in town, so they're not net new rat. Plus, there's a lot of wealthier people actually moved into some of those units, people who were downsizing, who ended up moving into those units. Town of Essex, they really seem like they really got their act together up there. They actually have already completed their development plan, their roadmap for affordable housing per Connecticut General Statute 830J. It's a beautiful document. I'm trying to get it electronically so I can send it out to the committee. But I think it's the roadmap that we're going to want to use going forward because it really will meet that need for the town of Old Lyme. They've had some affordable housing built in Essex. They had Essex Station, that's a rental unit. Developer used 830G there. Of the 52 units at Essex Station, 16 of them were affordable, 8 at 80% and 8 at 60% of area median income. I was on Hope Partnership at the time. I remember we kind of looked at it and passed. We didn't want to really be, it was a little too, the density we didn't really care for it at the time. So I do remember that. Then the next one is that this for Spencer's Corners, another development they're working on. This was something that the people who owned the condos at Spencer's Corner actually came to Hope Partnership as a suggestion from the town and some of the area local residents that it'd be great for affordable housing. So this was an underutilized office condominium that was less than 50% occupied, and it was kind of getting into disrepair. So it was a good match for the town. It was no new building. It was a rehab. They're taking the second and third floors and turning them into 17 new of 100% affordable units, with them being anywhere between 80 and 60% of area, 80, 60, and some 50% and less area median income units. And they're going to have 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units there. So that's actually going to open up in February. So that's actually moving along. So there'll be that's a new project. Madison, Connecticut. I just had a follow-up conversation just a couple, maybe an hour or so ago with the town planner. Dave Anderson called me back about a secondary question I had. They don't have an affordable housing committee, but Planning and Zoning Commission has been discussing, they're going to discuss it at their next meeting of actually forming a committee because they think they might need to do that. So that's actually in process. The town planner and the first select person have been very supportive of it, of affordable housing, and they've worked with developers to try to go ahead and help build it. There is actually a build that they had that was already approved for 34 units. The developer had gotten it approved with some affordable housing on it. He had built 4 units, and then he decided that he kind of just wanted to retire. So the town actually connected him up with Hope Partnership. They bought the property. They're going to convert it from, instead of, I think it was going to be 10% affordable, like I think it was 3 or 4 units, it's now going to be 6 affordable, and then the remaining 26, I think that my math's right, will be affordable. So it'll be 6 market rate, and the remainder will be 28 will be affordable. So those are actually pre-approved. There was almost no opposition to it from what I was told from people on the committee and also the town planner at any of these meetings. That unit is actually in an area that's kind of near commercial and also has some multifamily housing nearby. So the other thing he told me about is Madison actually has some their own regulations that they put into place that are not 830G, but they're similar. And they encourage at least 10% be affordable. So some of these other developments, they had two other developments, both with 24 units each, that were built, and they used a different regulation that Madison encouraged. So when developers are coming in, they're saying, I think they're telling developers, encouraging them to put some affordable in there, they might have an easier time getting stuff approved. They did not go 830G on any of these locations because they worked closely with the developers instead. So it was more of an apple sort of approach as opposed to a stick, or a carrot versus a stick for those locations. Guilford, another one, not a formal committee. It's been driven by the town planner, George Kroll. They do have a couple locations throughout town of affordable housing. The town's been very much in favor of it. The committees have been driving it in town, planning and zoning, town planner, etc. In August of 2019, town of Guilford provided land in the downtown area, and they're working in conjunction with NeighborWorks. And NeighborWorks New Horizons is a group that builds affordable housing along throughout the state. So they're actually been involved with a number of these. Appraised value of the land was just under $300,000, and the first selectman thought that the property taxes coming in from that land, which currently wasn't collecting any property taxes, was going to bring in about $180,000 or $130,000 annually. That was his estimate. That's for Guilford. Lime, they actually already have, they do have an affordable housing committee. It's been intact for a number of years. They built 6 homes with deed restricted lots. They do something different that Old Lime does not do. They actually, the taxes the homeowners paid are actually determined each year based on income levels for the occupants of the 6 homes. So if your income goes up or goes down, you're going to see a change in your taxes. And the homeowners do not pay any taxes on the land. So that makes it a big difference for those homeowners, because land usually equals a larger portion of their taxes actually than the dwelling. Met with 2 members of their committee, Tim Hildner, who's one of the co-chairs, and Carol House, she's the secretary. She may be the new co-chair because I understand that the other co-chair has stepped back from her duties. They're trying to figure out how to go forward. So I was invited to a meeting with them. They're looking at now going away from ownership properties to rentals. They think they can do more with rental rent ownership. I misspoke. And possibly higher density versus just single family homes. So they're in ongoing discussions with accessory apartments throughout town. Same thing that that Harold's brought up on our calls. A lot of the towns are actually looking at that. They do have a property they're looking to build some more on, but they're trying to figure out how they can get more than just the one house on that particular unit. So they're looking for ways to morph their committee to try to do a little more and to be a little more proactive. Westbrook, again, no committee in place as far as I was understood. They did recently get money from a foundation to build 2 homes in town. It was supposed to be for the Westbrook Clinton area, but I've been told they're both going to be built in Westbrook. They have land for one, which they purchased. They're doing that with Habitat for Humanity. They got some fundraising to do to finish building that out. Of note, 150 people showed up to the kickoff meeting, which is fantastic, because that's really positive for them. They're still trying to locate land for the second home in Westbrook. Clinton spoke to the town manager, Carl Kilduff, who actually has got a background in financing, it sounds like, for affordable housing. So he was pretty up to speed on a lot. He said they don't have a task force or a town committee, but there was a topic for the July 2020 meeting to actually have a discussion about that. I was told Clinton previously had a committee, but it wasn't all that well formed. So looking like they're going back to restart it up. They did just recently build a new affordable housing unit. You can see it from the highway if you're heading southbound or northbound on 995. It was a yellow condominium in Clinton. They put that in about 2 years ago. They did that with NeighborWorks New Horizon. There was 21 units over there. It's actually in close proximity to other rental units in that area. So it was pretty much in keeping with the area. 9 of those units were 2 bedrooms, were 1, and 12 of them were 2-bedroom units. And they got different funding and grants to get those built. According to Carl, there's really no long-term plan because of lack of universal water and sewer infrastructure. That's the case along the shoreline as with us, so it's not really surprising to hear that. There was also discussion of possibly converting a school to affordable housing. Some other towns, I think Madison also looked at that, and they sent out RFPs to possibly do the conversion of that. So a lot of towns are looking to take old schools. Even some churches have been approached about doing that when they closed down some of their schools to put affordable housing in those areas. Killingworth, they just formed a committee and they have not met yet, or at least the last I had talked to them. My notes might be old at this point, so they may have met. First Select Person is very supportive of affordable housing. I understand Hope did do a presentation there back in February before COVID hit, and there was about 30 people who attended. So there is some interest in Killingworth. Killingworth does not have very much affordable housing. I think they might even be less than us. So they need to work on it also. Some side notes from Mr. Kildoff, the town manager. He's not a select person. Town manager from Clinton. He said that there is a movement in some areas to add a fee for developers so that they can put money aside for affordable housing build-outs in the future. He also said that, which was interesting, when you look at the town of Essex affordable housing plan, that we've been looking at 1-for-1 replacements, I think, when we're looking at affordable housing, that we would need to build X number of units. It doesn't exactly work out like that. They're apparently, the calculations are done, which I didn't realize this. You get more points if you have a unit that is at 60% or 50% of area median income versus at 80% of area median income. You get more points if there's more bedrooms in the unit. There's really no money involved at all for senior housing. They're really looking for workforce housing. So when we start looking at the calculations as to how many we would need to build, we have to take into account, and any developer would speak to, might be a good idea to include more 3-bedroom units and also units that aren't just at 80%, but at 30%, or I'm saying 30% or 60% or less. I'm talked out.
Tom, nice presentation. Thank you.
Questions? Michael, you're muted.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks. That was really useful, Tom. I'll go through the committee and poll for questions for you and comments. One quick comment on my part. First, to that notion of the points, I don't see that John's joined us, but I was going to ask him about that because I'm not sure if that's in the context of getting credit for a unit against the 10% exemption. I'm pretty sure from my reading of 830G that it counts towards a moratorium, and there's some variability in that. But let's hold that question for John, because I'm pretty sure he's digging into that. And the other comment I had was, it looks like the towns that are making the most progress there, besides those that have the infrastructure, are being proactive and are partnering either with outfits like Hope or Habitat or with developers directly. Was that your take from the survey you did?
That was absolutely my take. It seemed almost every town was very proactive on it. They seemed like they were really encouraging when the developers were coming in. to include affordable housing and/or when land came available to encourage that. That's what I heard from everybody I spoke to.
Okay, great. Thanks again. That was a really nice piece of work. Let's just go around briefly. Karen, I'll start with you to see if you have anything to add, and then if you have any questions or comments for Tom.
No, I just want to piggyback onto what Tom said, because I did go to the line meeting back when the Hope Project was happening. And I second your thought process on that and the way that they're going about that. And when I went to that meeting, they also were talking about higher density duplexes and renting units as opposed to purchasing them. So they've been actively trying to expand their way of doing things. But I do have to say, as a human being, as a taxpayer, I really like the way that Lime does it. I like the fact that they maintain ownership of the land and they do it themselves, and they maintain ownership. They keep their hands, in the mix. They know the people that are there, and I really feel like it's a definite feel-good organization. I really like the way they do that. Do you want me to? Can I go on to what I was doing, Michael, or should I wait until everybody has an opportunity to comment on Tom's, or can we just sort of dump that into the conversation?
No, please do, Karen, because that's why I went to you first.
So I actually reached out to, with a different purview of the same sort of idea. I was looking at senior housing as a piece of that I feel like it's important for us to keep on the radar. So I reached out to Jen Datum from the town hall about senior housing and what the need is in our town. And what I found out is not surprising, is that there's approximately a 3-year waiting list to get into our senior housing. And we have two places that people can go to. The first is Limewood, and believe it or not, I thought that was owned by Old Lime, but it's not. I don't know if anybody else thought that. But it's federal HUD housing, and Tom may know more about that part of it than I do. 4 buildings with 6 units each, mostly single residents. There's a few married couples there, elderly or disabled. And then the other unit, or the other place in town, is Ryefield, which is Shoreline affordable housing. Once again, I have no information on them. Jack Faniola was the name that she mentioned. 3 units per building, and she thinks there's 10 buildings. So one of the things that she also mentioned is that there's no more Connecticut subsidy. There used to be a $560 a month allotment for these sort of units, and apparently that has dried up. What else did she say? That Limewood and I guess Ryefield also get a tax abatement from the town of Old Lyme. I'm not sure if anybody was aware of that or not. And I suspect if we, went to the same places that Tom had spoken to, that they would have the same sort of need, that there's a waiting list for the senior housing. There's a need for their residents to try and find a place that they can downsize to or afford to live when their income becomes less after they're done working, retired. I just wanted to piggyback on that. One of the things that I think is important for us to keep that on our radar, that as far as affordable, we're not just looking to, for workforce or volunteers in our town. We also have to take care of our elderly. That's all I have.
Thank you, Karen. So let's move on and go through the rest of the committee for any questions or comments. We'll start with Harold.
Hi. Tom, nice presentation. Thank you very much. Just to follow up on what Karen had to say, when you take a look at Rye has 39 units and Limewood has 24 units, according to my information. And they fall under the subsidized housing, and they are 62 and older or SSD with income requirements. So, and I'm sure there's a waiting list, but other than that, I thought Tommy did a very nice job. Thank you very much. I'm done.
Thanks, Harold. John Coughlin.
Yes, Tom, great presentation, very informative, and filled in some of the holes I had, but thank you very much. I'm good.
Thanks, John. Tammy, I see you joined.
Tammy, you're muted.
You're muted, Tammy.
How's that?
Gotcha.
Good.
Okay. So, Tom, thank you for doing all that research. It was very informative. You know, I do agree with Karen. I think we definitely need to incorporate senior housing somehow. Absolutely. I don't think it should be straight workforce. I think there's a need for it in the community. I see it every day, and I think that's just something we need to be mindful of. And and I do like the 3-bedroom options as well, not just 2-bedroom units.
Thanks, Tammy. I know in my notes I've got 3 major themes along that: starters, workforce, and seniors. So the whole life cycle.
Mhm.
Okay. Thanks, Tammy. Peter?
I guess the only thing I have is a question for Tom. Do you know, does Habitat for Humanity of Eastern Connecticut cover Westbrook?
Oh, that's handled out of Middlesex.
Okay,
Sarah, I think that's Sarah Bird is the director for that area. I
okay,
don't think I know it is. It's Sarah Bird, and it's out of Middlesex.
thank you.
Eastern Connecticut only covers New London, Wyndham, and parts of Shoreline County.
One of the reasons, just so you guys are aware, that when Hope was originally formed, they haven't pushed as hard across the rivers because they're funded a lot through the United Way of Middlesex County, which Habitat also gets some decent funding with. So that's the reason why the focus was always pushed more toward Middlesex County and less toward New London County, which I always protested because I say, hey, we're just the other side of the river.
Thanks, John. Why don't you go ahead with any comments, questions you have, and any insights regarding Habitat as well, of course.
I'm having trouble with my audio, so I got dropped off the video. But anyhow, so Habitat, yeah, it's just Eastern Connecticut Habitat just covers New London, Wyndham, and parts of Tolan County. But I think it's a great presentation, Tom and Karen, that you guys put together. And if I could, I'd like to share it with Eastern Connecticut Habitat so that we could just get some ideas going about what the needs are in the area.
Okay.
And we still have a pending item on a future agenda to bring Habitat in to chat with us, so that might be a good topic.
Sure thing.
Okay, did I miss anyone, or is there any follow-up questions or comments for Tom or Karen? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next update, which was going to be on the legal and regulatory analysis around 830G and other related legislation and regulations that John Zaccaro was working on with Harold. John, I don't think is with us. I don't see him on the attendee list. So John, if you've been able to join us, please speak up. And if not, Harold, I know you've done some research as well, but I think also given the time, I propose that we move this item next meeting agenda, because I think it would be best if John was able to lead this discussion. He's done most of the legwork on this.
I agree.
Okay, thank you, Harold. Okay. So we'll defer this agenda item and we'll put it up on at our next opportunity, and I'll reach out to John. Okay, so planning for next steps. I had one thought on this I wanted to share with the committee and get your take on, which is we're about 6 months into the burn now, and even though we had a bit of a setback during the early stages of the pandemic, I think we're moving along and getting enough information so that we're in a position to start transitioning into the synthesis phase of our work and starting to at least outline what our final report is going to look like, which we will hopefully have done by February. So I was going to propose, we've got our next regular meeting should be on October 19th. But I was going to propose potentially having a special meeting between now and then just to go through a rough draft, a rough outline of what our final report would look like. And hopefully that would incorporate the information we've been able to gather up to now, and also highlight any of the gaps we have on our information, so it would help direct our next round of cleanup work, if you would, to collect the information we need to build the report and the recommendations. So what I will do is I'll poll the group for availability for a special meeting. 1 week, what I guess would be the 28th, and 2 weeks from now would be the 5th. Is there anybody who definitely would not be available on, say, Monday, the 28th, September 28th, or Monday, October 5th, from, say, 6 to 7 for a 1-hour meeting with a single agenda item, just to review a draft outline of our report, which I've started to draft myself, so I'll have something to share.
On the meeting, October 5th, I'd have to leave early if you did from 6 to 7.
Okay, Tom. How about the 28th?
I'm okay currently.
Okay, and anyone else on the committee who would not be available on the 28th?
No.
Okay, that's a week from today, but I think I'll have enough of a rough draft to share so that we can at least start to get to a point where we can have an idea of what our final work product is going to look like and see what gaps we have in filling it out. So stay tuned, and I'll try and put that together. Okay. Well, I wouldn't have bet on this, but it's 6:14, and we're about to go to the agenda item that we had targeted for 6:15. So this agenda item will be a presentation from a guest we have this evening, Mark Diebold, on a potential development project that would be an A30G and include affordable housing. Before we start on this, I just want to make a few contexts because we do have people joining us, and I just wanted to set some context for this item. So for those that haven't read our charge, the Affordable Housing Committee, which is actually the Affordable Housing Exploratory Committee, was convened by the Board of Selectmen earlier this year in February. In a nutshell, the committee is charged with learning more about affordable housing inside of Old Lyme, which we've discussed at earlier meetings, in terms of both existing and possible opportunities for new development, which is the agenda item that's before us. Learning about how other municipalities in Connecticut are approaching affordable housing, which you just heard Tom and Karen do a great job describing. Learning more about A30G and other relevant statutes and regulations, and trying to make some sense of all that and report back our findings and recommendations to the Board of Selectmen. We're working on nominally a 6-month to 1-year timeline. We've hit 6 months as of this month, after which the committee will sunset. So just to be clear on this, the committee has no regulatory role or authority. We don't have a budget. We don't have any budget authority. And we don't have any direct role in setting policy or strategy, and we have no role in actually managing projects. So our role is essentially research and analysis. So in general, through our proceedings, and for this agenda item in particular, we're going to try and stay within our charge and focus on the affordable housing aspects of what we're about to hear. So, and again, to be clear, there's no application before us, and this is not a hearing. There'll be no decisions made or votes taken under this agenda item, and we're essentially here to listen and learn. So with that, I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Diebold with our thanks and our welcome. And we're aiming for about a half hour of total of presentation and discussion on this. So with that, Mr. Diebold, take it away, and I'll hopefully we can still hear you.
Can you hear me now? Or?
Yes, I can. Everyone except Mr. Diebold, please mute.
Mute on my end. So, I can hear you.
Affordable housing.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me or no? Hello?
Mark, we can hear you.
Okay. It sounds like I'm in someone's basement or something. Really loud. Okay, you can hear me now, correct? I understand. Oh.
Not working. So funny, isn't it? When people's can you hear him? Where's the host?
Hello? Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, way better.
Okay, because I just re-signed in.
Great, Mark. We can hear you much better now. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know what that was, but it worked earlier. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You were on exact time. I really appreciate that. So I will be within your time parameters. So what would you like to know? I mean, because we are in a kind of a informal, to a certain degree, as you indicated by your charge. I'm trying to give you information about our project, and obviously it's an ambitious proposal, obviously, for a number of approximately 70 to 75 affordable housing units would be part of the complex that we'll be building, and be happy to answer any questions you might have about it, rather than some kind of, I don't have a formal presentation. Obviously, it's difficult to do over a conference call anyway. But we will be presenting, I believe we have to go to the Inland Wetlands Commission first. That'll probably be in December or January timeframe, because there's still a lot of work that needs to be done in order to get all the various drawings, engineering work, et cetera, behind it. So I'm happy to answer any part about the project that you have. Okay.
Thanks. Actually, I think that'll work well. And I do have a couple, and again, they're going to be focused on some of the affordable housing aspects of the project, and then I'll run through the rest of the committee. So if you could confirm your estimate of how many units there would be, and if you had thought about what the distribution is going to be across the 40, 60, 80% of AMI, and potentially the distribution of the units physically across the development, I think that would be of interest.
Yeah, that's a good question. Currently, we're trying to maximize the look and the feel for everything because there's different elevations of, there'll be approximately, we've had as low as 216 and as high as 224. So I'm pegging it as 220 right now because we don't have it finalized. It all depends on also the space that we're going to devote to our clubhouse and pool area, those types of additional amenity things that, so if you do that, there'll be 8-30G is 30% of those total units would be deemed affordable or within the affordable guidelines. So that's the number. And I've given some basic information out to the news media, but it's local news media folks. But we're basically, to give a feel or a look, it would be more like the Post and Main / Saybrook Station, its current name in Old Saybrook. It's the easiest one that people will see probably if you've gone to Walmart to go shopping or whatever. You see the complex next door. Well, that's 9 buildings, 186 units, where we would be 11 buildings. But we're on 20 acres, so it really is not seen from anywhere. Its location is ideal. It's the only multifamily residential zone in town. And it is, it's not a cornfield. We've got a lot of rock in which to deal with, but it also affords us to be able to do some really interesting things for the project. But from the affordable standpoint, we're going to obviously do, can you confirm the median income? What figure do you have for Old Lyme? Can you hear me?
It's
Yeah. Go ahead, Jen.
It's 91,800.
Okay. I've seen it at different other places at 84. So 91,800. Okay. So basically, whatever the rules are related to that, the income streams, and we're going to be just focused on 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, not three bedrooms and not studios. And obviously they're all going to be made the same way. They're just because they're quote affordable doesn't, they are constructed the same way. They're going to be identical to the market rate units as well. So those are some questions that people ask me. What are they going to look like? Any cheaper? No, they're all made the same.
Thanks. That's really useful. Do you see them as being distributed across the entire development, or will you have?
Oh, absolutely. No, 100%. The 11 buildings will all be, of the same footprint. It's just that some of them will have underground parking because it's capable of doing it because of the topography. I've come to learn that that's a premium item, but in this situation, we're not creating it. We're using the natural contours of the property in order to be able to achieve that. So, yeah, they're going to be identical. They're going to be, just as I say, as people on your street, some people make more money than you. Some people make less money than you. At least that's the way I think of it. And that's similar to this. It's really not going to be nobody's going to know anybody's income level. You're all going to be in the same throughout the various buildings, and that's how it's going to go. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. And just one quick follow-up, and then I'll move on to Tammy's earlier question. Any thoughts about an allocation or accommodations for senior housing among?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think there's going to be any specific designation for it, but they obviously, if retired people do not have an income, or again, those are some of the rules that I have to bone up. Is it investment income or a W-2 income? Those are some of the questions I need to learn as well on 8-30G. Perhaps somebody in your board knows that question. I don't. But I've done market research. Obviously, we have a formal paid market analysis, and there's plenty of people that are downsizing that have assets, but not so much income anymore. And they would probably, some of those people might want to move to take advantage of that, and some people maybe not, and just do it as a regular market rate. You don't know.
Great.
But well, obviously, what the goal is to be a apartment home that somebody's happy and proud to live there. Obviously, we have plenty of amenities and a number of other things. It's going to be somewhat of its own little community. That the 11 buildings gives us an opportunity to make it feel more of a village, New England village kind of. That was kind of the concept behind it. That there's a clubhouse, there's things to do, there's ways for people to interact and socialize, that kind of thing. So that's part of the goal that I have for that. But I think it's going to be a great benefit for the town, because I think, I've listened to the previous parts of your call, but being able to bring you, I think, over 3% or 100% increase almost of what you're at right now once we get it built. And I think it's a great alternative. Obviously, real estate is expensive. Apartments, can be somewhat daunting at different times too. But it's just another alternative for housing in town that hasn't been available for years. Or not very, something of this type hasn't been available. And I think it'll be a great benefit down the road. And plus, pay a lot of taxes. So some people have asked me, so what is that going to look like? Based on my CPA's calculation, we're probably going to be between $400,000 and $500,000 a year in taxes we're going to be paying. So it's quite a bit of money. And I listened earlier when you said that there were only maybe 12 children in Old Saybrook that would be kids in the school system. I would say that's about right. They're not going to be a lot. I would say definitely under 15. Something like that. But, people transition for various reasons why they live in an apartment and apartment home. And I think that town will be well in the plus column for tax revenue compared to what anybody that had a child, for instance, that would be in the school system.
Thank you very much. That was very helpful, Mr. DeWalt. Let me turn over to Karen Winters for any questions.
Hi, Karen. Go ahead. Hello, I'm still here. Yeah.
Karen, you're muted.
Yeah. The wonders of modern technology. Okay. Maybe somebody else will circle back to Karen, because I don't want to hold you up.
Karen, I'll give you one more try. There you are.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
I said,
Yes.
I don't know what you heard, but I like the fact that the workforce housing is intermingled with the other housing, and no one really knows who's getting a reduced rate, and I think it's a win.
Yeah, that's the whole point. We're trying to, we're agnostic as it relates to that, because when you don't know when somebody's going to be leaving their lease at a future time. So you can't just wait around for it becomes, they're all going to be made the same way, done the same way. So you're right, 100%. Nobody's going to know who is that's certainly not, that will be private information. And that'll be just that, exactly.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. Tom?
Hey, Mark.
Hi, Tom.
A couple of questions. So, of the 22 acres, how many of the 22 acres are actually buildable?
Oh, quite a bit, because it's a tough site right now. If you walked it, you say, what are you going to do here? But there's a lot of site work that needs to be done. That's going to be one of our more expensive items that we'll be doing. Quite a bit of, soon we have it all laid out based upon the capabilities of, we actually could put 274 units on it, but we didn't want it to be crowded. And we thought this, by having less buildings, doing it the way that we're doing it, was better. So obviously it's a bit premature. I've obviously seen the layout. We have it, obviously it's in the, with the site work done and what that would entail for our own internal budgeting purposes, but we'll also we have the buildings, the 11 buildings spread out amongst the property as well, in addition to the clubhouse pool type area, which will be, fairly good size. So that there's nothing crowded in there. The other thing I wanted to point out about the underground parking was that that eliminates our need to have so much blacktop parking in front of the units itself. It can be more landscaped, less blacktop required, asphalt required to do that. So it'll be much more attractive looking, I think, and just have a better feel for the whole place by doing the underground park.
So I'm not familiar with the property. I know Hatchett's Hill. I just can never envision where this is. So there's no wetlands in there or anything like that?
It's easy. Where the Med Options building that's empty on the corner of Hatchett's Hill and 4 Mile River, my property actually starts approximately right at the end of that driveway where their excess driveway is located. And that's another thing I might as well point out. I know that you can't specifically advocate for the project. What I'm looking to do is get accurate information coming out, because people, I've looked at some things on social media locally, and there's everybody, it's a low income project. It's not a low income project whatsoever. And I appreciate when you get a chance to explain to people just the facts, that it's not what HS30G is, what exactly it looks like. This is a full market. If anything, it's in a luxury type apartment home. If you look at it from the amenities we're going to have in the rating system within the apartment world, will certainly be rated as that because of the accommodations and amenities that we're going to be able to offer people. So that's where it's located, is right next to, so we're literally maybe 100 feet from the stop sign. So it will be a right turn only on Hatchet Hill Road. And, obviously one of the concepts of 8-30G or the layover effects is to be near a transit hub. Well, in Old Saybrook, they're next to the train station. Well, here we're going to be right next to the north and south I-95 on-ramp. But since it's up high elevated, there'll be less road noise, number of other things that it will be diminished. So it's actually kind of a unique and great site for this type of project. There will be no need to go left into Hatchet Hill Road or anything else. It'll be strictly a right turn only out of the property. And it's safe also because anybody that drives Hatchet Hill Road, you're already slowing down for that stop sign. And, we'll do whatever is required, but there certainly doesn't need to be a traffic light or anything like that. There's so from a safety standpoint and well-being, that is what it is.
Okay, 2 more questions. How many floors are these units going to have? 1, 2, 3, 4 stories, and 3 stories. Okay, and then why no 3-bedroom units?
I think the market for that is minimal, and we're trying to keep the part of the efficiency of building this whole thing is to have obviously the footprint. There might be 2 like in Saybrook Station, they have 2 1-bedroom units layouts and 2 2-bedroom layouts. Similar to that, there's somewhat of our template. They've been very successful in the marketplace. We can we're trying to avoid using elevators. And I asked about that when I've had a tour before, and they said, some people love to live on the first floor and some people love to live on the third floor. It's just a function of what somebody prefers. So if it's an elderly person, for instance, that want to live there, or a retired person, maybe they want to live on the first floor. It's by choice. We're trying to keep the cost down. We may end up having to use some elevators for some buildings, but other ones we won't need to.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Going to Harold.
Good evening, Mark. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. You just answered one of my questions because I was thinking about elevators, especially if we're looking for senior people. One of my thoughts was even if these things go up 3 stories, would you have internal elevators? I noticed that some of the housing in O-Line was designed with oversized closets on the first floor and oversized closets on the second floor stacked so that you put an elevator in if you wanted to. But these are all going to be rented apartments, right? Rented
Correct.
Units.
Yes.
So there will be no condo fee.
No, nothing like that.
Okay. I know you went before WPCA last week. I haven't seen any meeting minutes, but how was that? Was that favorable or questionable?
Well, all that we've done so far, that is a key component. We basically did a courtesy because we actually need to speak to East Lyme. It's one of the things that make the project viable, kind of by accident, frankly, because they have their water and sewer hookup approximately 100 meters away from where our property has a 15-foot right-of-way down to not even a right-of-way, it's actually owned land, right down to 4 Mile River Road. So if you look at the map, it's kind of a funny look, but you can see a little strip that goes to 4 Mile River Road, and from there it's less than 100 meters. But we're currently in negotiation on there is sewer capacity in New London, of which the East Lyme waste goes through there to that location where it's treated and goes into Thames River. And the water is an easier thing to deal with because there's a water connection right there as well. And without getting into the weeds here, of all the engineers speaking to the other engineers, the ones that we've hired, there is a path forward there. We're just trying to do it properly. And that was our goal of last week. We're just like meeting with you. We don't want to do something we're not supposed to do, or just the courtesy of letting the WCPA say, we need to talk to East Lyme. Is that okay with you? And that's basically what was the purpose of the meeting, was to, they have no statutory reason to do it, but it's just ultimately we'll need to go through the town, but not in the discussion phase.
Well, absolutely. I know this is very preliminary, and it's just, it's kind of like, what do you think, guys? And you're taking it from there. So, but I'm just glad to know that is one of the things you're looking at. That's all I pretty much have right now. I think it's I'm sure there's going to be a lot of specific questions coming up as you go through the plan and development.
Yeah. There's capacity in the sewer system. We're trying to get an allocation amount, and that's always somewhat of a archaic type of thing. But that's why, thank God, we have professional engineers that we hired that are doing that work currently.
Yeah, the CEDs or whatever. But okay.
Complicated stuff.
All right. Well, thank you. That's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Harold. Okay.
Thank you. Let's go on to John Coughlin.
Mark, thank you for your presentation. Very informative. And Harold touched on the things that I wanted to bring up. And it is an ambitious project, and I wish you luck with it.
Well, thank you. It is, but I think it's a doable thing. And unfortunately, committees and things only meet once a month, and it's going to take time. I wish it could snap my fingers and we go through partially what I want to do with your commission is, as I said, we're trying to avoid the 300 people that show up at the eventual zoning meetings, and because they've heard we don't want people to have inaccurate information. Certainly it's their right to show up or whatever, but we're trying to make people understand that it's a win for the town and the town needs this, and that this is all being done by private sector. There's no monies we're getting from any town, from any state, this is strictly a investment project by myself and others that I have they're basically silent partners. And that's, I think, going to be an important thing as well. We're going to follow all the state rules, but it's going to be done strictly with private sector. And I think they'll be done well, because we really want to do a super job for it. I don't know, maybe I'm not on anymore. I don't know.
All set, John?
No, you're definitely on. So you're not invoking any of the 830G. You're doing it all straight up.
Oh no, we're doing the HS30G. That's what I said at the outset. Yeah,
sure.
we're going to follow all the rules of that, but we're not applying for any kind of grants or monies or this or nothing that's going to be completely privately done. And I think it's a win-win for everybody, frankly.
Sure, and the affordable round, that sure is. Sounds like a good project.
Yeah. Good, thank you.
Hey, Mark, this is Tom O. Quick question. How many units could that location support if there wasn't sewers or water available? Like,
Tom, can we hold? I want to go through one round on the whole committee first, and then we can come.
Sorry.
Thank you. Tammy?
Tom, can you repeat the question, please? Tom? I don't know why I can't hear you, but
Mark, I held Tom off. We're going to do a round on the whole committee first, and then we'll go back around. So I invited Tammy to ask a question. Can you hear me?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, good.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for all the information. It sounds like a great project. I guess the only question, again, and it's kind of piggybacking what Tom had asked, was about the 3-bedroom. Is there any specific reason why there aren't going to be any 3-bedroom units?
Well, on the market analysis that we've done and have paid for, it's primarily a 1- and 2-bedroom. I mean, certainly we can take another peek at it and really drill down into the report that we've had. It's all about supply and demand. It's just easier to rent 1- and 2-bedroom units than it would be a 3-bedroom unit. That's all. And the size, we're trying to make the units a little bit, not much, but a little bit larger than others that are in the marketplace right now. And, we're make it a true apartment home that people have enough space for living space, etc. So it's, I mean, we certainly can look at it. I don't know if we do more, if we ever did. The only people that have that is the Sound Apartments in East Lyme, which is near the Costco. They have some 3-bedroom units, but only a handful. So it's not like 1/3 of the units are 3 bedrooms. They only have maybe like 12 or 15 of them. And that's out of 280 units. So they have a much larger amount, but with less 3 bedrooms.
Okay. I wasn't sure if there was any specific reason why 3-bedroom was eliminated, but thank you.
Currently, it's not in there. We'll take another look at it. I mean, obviously this is a business decision. If there's demand for it, we certainly want to fill it. But the jury's out on that for us currently. We know 1 and bedrooms work. So 1 and 2 bedrooms.
Great. Thanks, Mark.
Sure thing.
Thanks, Tammy. We'll go on to Peter.
Questions?
Peter, I'm here.
Peter, are you there?
Yeah,
Okay.
I said no questions. I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Peter.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Jen?
Yeah, I was going to ask you a question about tax abatements from the town, but you answered that. So I just want to say great job, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with it. Just a comment on the 3 bedrooms. Just the rent cap on affordable housing for a 3 bedroom is over $2,100. So even for affordable housing, that's quite expensive for a 3 bedroom, to rent anyways, rather than own something. So that's probably another reason in this area why 3 bedrooms aren't renting so well. But great job. Thanks. I'm looking forward to it, Mark.
Thank you. Good.
And since we have our sponsors two of our sponsors with us, Tim or Mary Jo, is there anything you'd like to ask?
Tim here. I'll just jump in. I think that the water sewer connection is a very vital ingredient here, and I know Mark is working diligently on that. But from a standpoint of location, I think obviously it's not walkable to markets and so forth, but in terms of getting to the interstate and taking one exit to get to our shopping area, that's pretty darn good, and the amenities. So I think it really is a very intriguing development, and if we can get the water sewer deal, I think it makes all the difference in the world. So we're wishing the best of luck.
Thank you, Mr. Griswold.
Hi, Mark. This is Jo.
Go ahead.
Will you be needing to do any blasting on the property?
There will be considerable site work, and I'm sure that would be part of it. I mean, that's like any part of Old Lyme, there's a lot of rock, and
yeah.
I'm sure that will be part of it. Yeah.
And regarding parking, how many cars per residence are you envisioning? For parking spots?
Yeah, well, there's going to be the underground capability. I think 9 of the 11 buildings will have underground because of the topography. And that's usually 1 per unit. And then somebody has 2 cars, the other car would probably have to be, outside, upstairs somewhere. Or, we're also contemplating, some people like the idea of having garages. We're trying to see if that's, because some people like to have a garage for their car, but also some level of storage as well. And that's all part of in the design phase that we're working on currently. So it's a good time to ask that. But yeah, we're trying to eliminate. Well, not trying to. It's a function of, by doing the underground parking. That's per building. It'll be 1 unit. Well, I've seen the plans. It's approximately 26 spaces that we can fit underneath the building currently. And then the other one would be would be up top more.
I see. If a family comes in under the affordable housing guidelines and then leaves, would you be required to put another affordable housing criteria family in that building, or would you have to go market?
No, I believe that's always been the it needs to be like this for, I think it's 30 or 40 years before you could do that. The 8-30G is very specific, is that you're looking to have the target of 30% of the units to be deemed affordable.
Yeah, that's a 40-year deed restriction.
It is a 40-year deed
restriction.
restriction.
What I thought. It's 30 or 40, so it's 40 years.
It's 40.
Exactly. I assure you, I will not be alive at that time. So I will not be that person. So.
And finally, Mark, who makes those decisions? I know with Hope they had a process, but who in your group would make those decisions?
We will have real estate professionals that are specifically trained for what they can ask, what they can't ask, what type of documents are required to qualify, what type of documents are required to be, to be able to sign a lease. Obviously we want people to be comfortable, but also at the same time, it's a business decision. So there'll be specifically, I don't know if there's a certification for it or not, but I'm sure that whatever real estate professional or management company personnel that we hire will be well versed in that. So it will be done properly. That's what I assure you.
Mark, this is Jen. I'm sorry, this is Jen. I just wanted to say that is all outlined by the state of Connecticut, and they even have templates for the rental agreements. So that should not be an issue at all.
Great, thank you. I figured there would be.
There's an affordability plan somewhere in the statute that I saw a reference to. Okay. Thanks, everyone. We're going to go back. Tom, you had a follow-up?
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
So my last closing comment then would be, I know that your charge is specific. I'm just asking you to be accurate, ombudsman, as it were, in the community to just about what affordable housing is and what it isn't. Because there's this big misconception. I've had multiple people say to me, "Oh, you're building that low-income housing project," and I'm like, "No, it's not a low-income housing," and then they don't really understand. So I'm hoping that you can accurately, without obviously advocating, but accurately be able to tell people what it is and what it isn't now. So that's all I ask.
Thanks. And if there's any doubt, this is recorded and it's going to be on YouTube, so it'll be there for all to see.
Hey, Mark.
I had a quick follow-up.
I'm sorry. If you're looking for advocacy, one of the things that Hope does do is they do advocacy for affordable housing, so you may want to reach out to them too. Even if they're not involved with the project, they do education and stuff.
Be happy to talk to whomever's willing to listen and be open-minded. That'd be great.
Mark, can I just jump in and I have one more question?
Who's that?
Saying, go for it.
It's Karen. Can I go ahead?
Go ahead,
Can I go ahead, Michael?
Please.
So I was just curious if there was any concern about the increase in building in East Lyme when all those apartments that you'll be able to rent these units.
That's a business decision that it's been looked at via our paid market analysis and feasibility study. Obviously, you don't get financing or anything from financial institutions without having the paperwork behind it. So there's surprising amount of need for rental housing in not only just in southeastern Connecticut / the Shoreline, but in other parts of the state as well. So
thank you.
We feel pretty strongly about it, but thank you for the question. Yeah.
Thank you. And I had just a follow-up on that too, which is there anything you can share with us from market analysis? One of the things we're trying to wrap our heads around is not just the demand for rental, but the demand for affordable housing in general. Do you have anything you can share with us on what you've been able to learn about, just on an order of magnitude, what kind of latent demand there is out there?
That's a good question. It's a proprietary thing. And I just
good. I'm not surprised to hear that at all. That's why I asked.
Yeah, we paid a lot of money for the report, so I'd rather not get into that right now because I know that there's. I see the market as being larger. I mean, some people would probably see there's competition. There's plenty of room in there for that. But I'd rather not share that at this point. Thank you.
I completely understand that. Thank you. Okay. Any other follow-up questions?
Mark, Tim, any pets allowed?
Yes, the bark park. That we've come to realize that people love their dogs, and you don't want to miss out on that. The only thing is usually a size limitation. Usually it's under 50 pounds, for instance. You don't want great big dogs that are going to scare somebody or nip them or something like that. So it'll probably be, people that have a smaller dog. It'll be for a fee, and there'll be, pets will be welcome. There obviously is a fee to have them, but they are certainly going to be part of the mix. And again, we want it to be like a home that somebody's proud to have, and have people over and to be able to do things. And animals are certainly part of our culture in Old Lyme for sure.
Okay. If there are no other questions, thank you very, very much for joining us, Mr. Debo. I hope it provided you the opportunity you were looking for to get some data out to the
Yes,
public.
it is.
You're looking at the different kinds of communities. It's definitely a unique data point on that we're collecting to put in perspective with the smaller owned developments. So I know it'll be very useful for us too. So thank you again for joining us.
Appreciate it. Thank you for letting me give you the information about our project, and hopefully we get to see it come to fruition sooner than later. All I know is that things of this size and magnitude, it's going to take a while to get going. So, but we appreciate this early stage ability to share information about it. So thank you.
Great. Okay.
I'm going to sign off then. Thank you. All right.
Very good. Thanks again. Okay, before we move on to public comment, any other business or matters arising that anyone on the committee would like to raise? Okay then. Where are we at? We're at 7 o'clock. We're doing pretty well. With that, we're going to move into public comment. Just another quick couple of notes on my part before we start. This is going to be a bit challenging in a virtual meeting. So for those of you who are going to be offering comment, please bear with us. Before we start, I wanted to make sure that everyone is aware that on the Affordable Housing Committee page of the Town of Old Lyme website, there is a contact link where you can put comments in, and it will come to the committee. And first, I want to thank Michelle Noren for setting that up. She's been a great help in every aspect of getting this committee up and running. So that link is there, and it will always be there. So either in the context of this meeting or any other meeting we have, any comments that you would like to send to the committee can be sent in through that web form. And please be assured that anything that is sent to us through that link will be read. Okay, so to make this go as smoothly as possible, I'm going to unmute the lines and then ask for folks to be recognized and state your name and your town of residence. Tammy, if you could try and grab names for the folks that are there so we can loop back if we need to. And great. And after you're recognized, please remember to direct your comments to the committee. And if you can, try to keep them to 1 to 2 minutes so we can get as many people in as we can. And those that are not speaking, if you would please mute your phone or computer, that'll help avoid the background noise. And just another reminder, this meeting is being recorded and that the recording will be posted to the Town of Old Lyme YouTube channel. Okay, so with this, I am going to hit unmute all. And hopefully we don't get a feedback issue, but there we are. So the lines are all unmuted, so I'll call on anyone who would like to be recognized. anyone so far, but I'll make another call for anyone who'd like to be recognized. Okay, I'll ask the committee. Has anyone heard anything? I heard any. I'm getting a fair amount of background noise. Tammy, I see you there. Have you picked anything up?
Sounds like a steamship.
It does. There's a lot of background noise. I haven't heard anyone actually.
Michael.
Okay.
Michael.
Go ahead, Harold.
Michael, may I make a suggestion? You go through each one by one, because right now all of them are trying to chime in at once, and it's not working. So if you start with Brian, caller 14, caller 2, caller 4, caller 5, that might be the best way to see if they have any comments.
Do that. Although I'm not sure the callers are going to know what caller they are. But the people who've got names, I can. Brian?
People asking questions. Any other questions?
So the lines are open for public comment. If you'd like to offer a comment, the lines are open.
Hey, Michael. Nobody's box is lighting up that they're trying to talk, so I'm assuming there's no questions.
That's what I'm seeing too. I'm not seeing the indicator that there's traffic coming through.
I agree, Tom.
Okay then. In that case, I'm going to, hearing no public comment, we'll move on to adjournment. Our next regular meeting is October 19th. And I will be looking at setting up a special meeting for 1 week from today, September 28th. Go through a draft outline of our report.
You gotta mute everybody. I can't hear you.
Okay. Just thanks, Jen. I just did that. So we'll move on to adjournment. Heard no request to make public comment. Our next regular meeting is should be on the calendar for October 19th. I will also try to set up a special meeting for 1 week from today to go through a draft outline of our report. And please stay tuned for that. And with that, I'm going to unmute the committee and then look for a motion to adjourn. So stand by while I unmute. Harold's unmuted. Karen's unmuted. I think. Okay, I think everybody's unmuted. I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn. This is Harold.
Thanks, Harold. Have a second?
I second. Karen.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, quick, Karen. Karen approved to adjourn?
Yes.
Okay, Tammy?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
John? Can't hear John. But in any case, we have a majority to adjourn. So I will, with everyone's thanks for again working our way through the vagaries of virtual meetings. We made a lot of progress. And thanks again, Tom. That was extremely informative. I really appreciate that.
Good job,
There's a lot
Tom.
to go on there. And we'll be talking again hopefully next Monday. Thanks, everyone. Last night of summer. Hope you enjoy some of it. Good night, everyone.
How do I leave the meeting?